welcome to Bethel Church Sunday School Theater. Our regular service will start in a few minutes. However, first, we have a delightful story for you, acted and narrated by our very own Sunday School team. So without further ado, let's sit back and relax and enjoy a wonderful story.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Acton, Ontario, it's Bethel Tonight!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Bethel Tonight. We've got a great show lined up for you this evening. Opening up the show, we've got a very special guest coming up who witnessed one of the most famous stories of the Bible. He's here to talk about a young man who trusted in God and accomplished extraordinary things in the process. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to a beer of Israel. Yes! Oh man, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, great to see you, Cozy.
Thank you.
So obviously it's great to have you back on the show, and I've been hearing a lot about this this David and Goliath story. You want to talk a bit about that?
So that kind of started when these guys called the Philistines, they tried to start a war with us Israelites. We were camped out and ready for battle, and it was kind of terrifying because, our armor and weapons weren't really the top-notch quality, but we were there to protect our country. Our camp was a hill right in front of this beautiful valley, and most of the time this valley was a great peaceful spot for a picnic, but with the Philistines there, I wouldn't really call it a picnic.
Yeah, so these Philistine guys, they weren't really great neighbors.
No, not one bit, and I'll tell you, it gets worse.
Oh, let me guess. Rain?
No, a giant. The Philistines, right, they had this soldier, and his name was Goliath. And you should have seen this guy. He was over 9 feet tall.
9 feet tall? Was he, did he play basketball, or?
No, he didn't. Anyways, this Goliath guy would yell at us for 40 days in a row, saying things like, "Hey, we're gonna take you to shreds!" And I tell ya, our whole army was shaking like leaves. Then, one day, this kid, a shepherd boy named David, brought some lunches for his brothers. He started saying all these things like, "Yo, what's all the commotion?"
Well, did he not see the giant?
Well, that's the thing. He did see the giant, and he wasn't scared one bit. Once he got out on the field, however, he heard the giant talking bad about God's army behind his back. David goes straight to King Saul and is like, "Yo, this guy's talking bad about us. If you don't fight him, I will."
Wow, so he called up King Saul. Huh. And how did King Saul feel about that one?
Well, with David's stature and all, I don't think he was too impressed. King Saul was all like, "You are way too small to fight that guy." But then David was all like, "I killed a bear and a lion with my bare hands."
Wow, okay, so we killed a lion and a bear. What courage on that guy?
I would say more so faith than courage. Whatever the deal, I think King Saul believed him because he was all like, fine, get this kid some armor.
Armor sounds like a good idea.
Quite the contrary. The armor Saul gave him was so heavy that David could barely walk. David took the armor off and instead got 5 smooth stones from some water. With a sling and his stones in hand, David was ready for battle.
Wow, I'm sure that giant was just quaking in his boots.
No, not Goliath. He was pretty confident. He was going on about himself like, "Bro, I'm 9'3 1/4. I'll squash you like a bug." Despite all the smack talk, David was like, "You may have come to fight me with the sword and spear, but I come to fight you in the name of the Lord." At that, David and Goliath started sprinting towards each other. David took a stone, put it in a sling, swung it over his head, and let it fly. The stone flew out straight, and I mean straight, to Goliath's head. It smacked Goliath on the forehead and fell over dead.
Yeah, I can imagine that probably got the Philistines pretty riled up.
Well, that's what you would think. They ran away.
So they weren't the only soldiers who were scared that day.
Very funny. In all seriousness, though, I did learn a really valuable lesson. I learned that God is our leader, and He's always with us. and he can care for us just like he did with David. So.
Wow, wow. What an amazing story, everybody. All right, I think that's all we've got for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Big round of applause for our guest of beer, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.